our monthly training event. Today's topic will be getting social with LinkedIn. Um, so marketing is definitely one of the more scary parts of having a freelance business, but it's definitely a critical part because without customers, without projects, there is not much business, as you know. I'm stating the obvious. And you've probably heard a lot of people talk about the clients that they find on social media. Social media is Facebook, Twitter, Google, LinkedIn, YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, and more. These platforms are growing all of the time, so it can be a little daunting to figure out which platform is going to be helpful to your business and which are just kind of fun personally. So I think we'll dive in and talk about the main goal of any marketing that you do is to get conversions. Now, conversions is a fancy marketing term that talks about the point at which a recipient of a marketing message performs a desired action. So, what a conversion is simply is getting someone to respond to your call to action. Now, a good idea is, not to overwhelm your clients with call to action of buying right away. Um, it's good to do things like, this webinar, of course, hopefully with better technical results. Sorry again. But doing things like this webinar where you can, impart your knowledge and become known for your expertise. And so a lot of times the call to action could be as simple as, hey, sign up for my newsletter and send a monthly newsletter out. Sign up for my, just a mailing list. Or your call to action could be, ask me for a quote. That's a very common one you see in this business. So, so ultimately, the goal is to have a call to action. Now, understand that a lot of, as you grow in your business and get more mature as a business owner, as a freelancer, you may opt to have your own website where what you're doing with social media is driving people to your website. And at your website, that's where you really want to engage with your users and convert your users into clients. So ultimately, that is the goal. So the thing you have to ask yourself and be really clear about is, who are your clients in the first place? Like, where do they hang out? And you can't really know where they hang out if you don't know who they are. And so there is some reflection you have to do before you really jump into social media, where you kind of understand, okay, what is it that I do? What's my unique offering? And where are the people who are seeking that? And I think, as people who do translation and language services, we have an obvious, content is really important to us. And so, where are you going to find people who are talking about the things that you want to translate ultimately? And there are so many places for this. And I don't. I'm not a proponent of just going out to other translation groups. You want to go to groups that where you're the only one providing the translation. So if you have an interest in I don't know, social work or activism or and the environment, for example. Join a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group that talks about that issue, and then you're hanging out with people that you want to work with, and somebody in that group will be interested in your call to action and be able to move forward with you. So you have to really, you get the idea that you really have to know who your clients are, who you want to work with, who your ideal clients are, right? So these are the people that ideally you're going to be working with day in and day out. So you have to really kind of dream big here. But then I call the low-hanging fruit clients, which I think a lot of us spend a lot of time on. The low-hanging fruit clients can be, like your agencies and your other, um, you know, consortium groups, the other translator groups where, you can get work that way. So it's kind of good to have that divided out in your mind and know where to market to both of those groups. And because you're going to talk to those groups differently. Um, and it's kind of cool because this isn't really a mystery, right, of where you find your clients. Once you kind of get a system going, you can actually, in fact, I'm going to pull something up here. So hold on a second. You can actually know this for sure. So one of the things I have set up on my website, and if you have a website, I strongly urge you to get Google Analytics set up. Even if you don't really have time to jump in and dive in and really understand the data. But I think by just having it set up in the first place will give you some data points to go on later. But one of the things, and we could have a whole session on Google Analytics, so I don't want to get too deep into this, but I just want to point out how you can know where your clients are finding you. So if I go here to Google Analytics, go to acquisition under social, I can, oops, sorry, I'm getting too clicky here. Under social, I'm just going to go here to overview. And this gives me the different social networks that people are finding. And Facebook is my number one, which is really interesting. And LinkedIn is number 3 for me. But it's kind of not surprising because lately I've been doing a lot of marketing of job posts and opportunities. And I think a lot of the linguists who are interested in working with us are hanging out on Facebook. So that's a really great data point so that I could look at that and go, okay, I'm going to invest more in Facebook. Glassdoor is really interesting to me that I'm getting such good results because I'm not really active with them right now. So I'm thinking, oh, well, maybe I should get a little more active with them. Glassdoor is a job posting website. So you can see, it doesn't have to be a mystery. Like and there are other ways too. I mean, Facebook provides some data you can look at. And most of the platforms have actually data you can look at to find out where the referrals are coming from. Even if you have just like a form or something that you want to set up, you're able to know that. And so it helps you to kind of really target who you're marketing to. And it's way more effective than, ultimately I look at when I say target, I kind of mean that literally, because I look at marketing as more of a spiral. Like you're not just, mass marketing to, running a Super Bowl ad and trying to get as many, faces on your ad as possible. That's not an effective way of marketing, right? You're trying to pinpoint, and I look at it like my I'm going to digress a little bit, but my sister has a son that's autistic, and they have a service dog for him. And this dog is trained in search and rescue, which is very important because the autistic, my nephew, kind of runs off a lot, and the dog knows how to go and find him. And the way he does that is the dog has been trained to follow his nose and start wide and kind of narrow and narrow and narrow and narrow his search until he is able to find my nephew. And so it starts very wide, and then you narrow down until you're just targeting to your direct clients. And ultimately with marketing, that's what you want to do. So I think a lot of people make that mistake with social media, that they just kind of post out there and then they wonder why they don't get the results. Well, some of that is because you need to really be where your target clients are and find them. And you can start wide, but don't stay wide. Narrow it in. Get some data, get some information, until you're actually just working with those people directly that you want to work with. So let's see, I would check in on questions, but I don't know if I'm able to, yeah. Yeah, I guess we're not able to take questions. So I apologize. But if you do have questions for me, put them in the chat below and I will definitely address those questions. Okay, so moving on here. Now I lost my place. Okay. So Facebook, Twitter, Google, we're going to go through these pretty quickly because I want to spend the focus on LinkedIn today. But these social media offerings are all very important, and I really think it's important to have a presence anywhere you can on the web. You know, these are all free, but I highly encourage you to create a page for your business. And it sounds overwhelming maybe, but your business might be your name. Or it could be like, in my case, Stacy Translations, Stacy Brown Translations, or something like that. And I could create an actual business page where, so it's separate from my personal account. That way I'm not, some of that is just, I'm not doing as much marketing to my social group, my friends and family. I'm actually marketing again. I'm targeting the people that want to buy my thing. So, so having a specific business page on each of these platforms is important, and part of that is for your search engine optimization, and that's another discussion too. But to be able to be found if somebody is Googling, you know, Spanish translation, you want to come up in the top on the top page if you can. So it's important to have a presence on these platforms. Create a page for your business. Use hashtags. If you're not sure, find a teenager and ask them how to do hashtags. But one tip is it is all one word. So you have to kind of mash everything together, and hashtags are used to search. So L10N is a hashtag for localization. So somebody who wants to find topics on localization might search on, you know, hashtag L10N. So if you're using that hashtag, your post will come up in that search. So these are just helpful to provide tags that are going to be just make your post more searchable. And setting up a Google business account is really important if you want to come up again in a Google search result, which how many people are going to go to Google to find you? A lot. And I could show you the analytics. So it's important to be able to be found, to be out there. So let's get into LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is a real valuable network, right? It's 350 million members, and it kind of is up there almost next to Facebook. If you're not familiar with LinkedIn, it is a professional network, much like Facebook is a personal network. LinkedIn is a way to stay connected with former coworkers or other professionals that are in your field, or you know, there's a million ways to connect with people, your client, your current clients, your future clients. And the cool thing about LinkedIn is it really gives you access to decision makers. So if you're hunting for a job, for example, you could go to LinkedIn and check out the hiring manager and learn a little bit about them. So it's important to know that people are looking at your LinkedIn profile. And I think as translators, we look at translator LinkedIn profiles all the time. And so it is a great way to connect with both kinds of clients, right? Your ideal clients and your low-hanging fruit clients. So what I want to do right now on LinkedIn is I'm going to log into my account. Hopefully you can see this okay. Now, in fairness, I have a paid account here. So your account may look a little different than mine. You don't have to have a paid account to use LinkedIn effectively. So I'm not here to encourage anyone to set up a paid account. I don't work for LinkedIn. I have no tie to LinkedIn. But for me, because of the level of recruiting I do using LinkedIn, I find it's a good investment to pay for the account. So you can see just logging in, again, there's some data that we want to pay attention. Again, that helps us narrow in to our target, right? But let's look at setting up your profile. Okay, and I want to give you some tips and tricks on how to set up your profile. I'm almost an all-star. I don't know what else do I have to do, LinkedIn. But we'll start from the beginning and show you a few things that are important. First thing you'll notice on my LinkedIn page is I have a photo. And I could probably get a better photo than that, but you know, I'm trying to look pensive, I guess. But anyway, it's important to have a photo on your LinkedIn profile. And why is that? I mean, if you think about it, you know, one thing that we, sorry, I'm getting too clicky here. Something that, you know, we talk about a lot in the translation business is, you know, how working with human beings is better than just machine translation, right? So it's really important to show a photo because you're a human being and that, you know, people want to see that. And it really, you're way more likely to be contacted if there's a photo there. Honestly, when I see profiles that do not have a photo, my first thought is, oh, this person's probably not very active on LinkedIn and they're not going to get my message. So having a photo there is really important. And you can also do a background photo. I do this one of Portland to kind of show, okay, I live in Portland and it has that local appeal. But this is something you can change and, you know, put something that you're interested in or scenery or something not too distracting for the rest of your profile. And, you know, having your photo should be a clear view of your face. And I highly recommend you being alone in the picture. Don't put like a family picture up there. I mean, some people will put like a football team or, you know, their school mascot or something. And I don't, that's not as effective as just being able to see who you are and help you build that credibility. So, you know, you could do something, you know, it doesn't have to be super serious. Obviously, I don't know, this is very serious. I think I was being kind of goofy that day. So it doesn't have to be very serious, but it has to, you know, show your personality and also be professional enough and not distracting. So having a photo is very important. Having your first and last name, of course, is very important. And I know a lot of people worry about privacy, but I think if you are running your own business, the last thing you want to do is hide yourself, right? You want to be found in as many places as you can. You know, what I recommend for people on privacy is just don't post anything you wouldn't want people to know. So I think on LinkedIn, these are things that you do want people to know. You want people to, you know, you want to stand out to people who are looking for you, right? So make sure your first and last name are really clear. Some of you who have really unusual and cool last names could put a little pronunciation of your last name with it or your first name, which might be helpful for someone trying to contact you. So a headline is a great way to build your brand. If you're actively seeking jobs, you can put that right here. So, you know, I'm looking for Spanish translation jobs, you know, and have that really clear. And understand when you Google things, your LinkedIn profile is something that can come up in a Google result, a Google search. So make sure that you're putting text in here that could come up in the search. It's really important too to have your contact information here. I like to have my email available because some people want to just contact me via email. I have my website. I have, oh, I could put my phone number and address. I'm going to update this because I want people to have as many ways to reach me as they're comfortable doing so. I don't want to limit that at all. So, and the other thing that's really cool is somewhere on here, I have a lot going on, is you can put some advice for contacting me. So like if, you know what, they are changing this all the time. This is really cool. But yeah, usually there's somewhere you could put advice for contacting me. So you could say, call me after hours, you know, or from 10, I'm reachable from 10 to 2, Monday through Friday. Anything that you can do to help people find you quickly. Now, the other thing that I highly recommend doing is setting up a summary for yourself. And hold on a second. Here we go. So here's a summary. And I have a little summary here, but I think it's important to have a nice, you can put up to 2,000 words in here, right? And so I wouldn't recommend it being too long, but if you can shoot for about 300 words or so, I think that is going to be the most effective in pulling keywords in, and getting people excited about working with you. Now, something I really suggest on your summary is to not just say what you do, but and who you are, but give people a reason to work with you. So your summary should be a little, you know, a little marketing pitch there. Like I get right into what my firm does. I enable intercultural communication. I link people together. So I don't just talk about, well, Stacy Brown is, a manager and has 20 years experience. I think that's not really, they can see that from my, resume portion of LinkedIn. But here, this is an opportunity to not only say what it is, like I am a translator, but I am a translator who, but what you're really getting from me is clear communication so that you can interact with your clients in a meaningful way. Sorry about that. I'm getting a phone call. So specialties, again, this is always changing. It's a great idea to come back to LinkedIn on a basis. Like I'm just noticing they have all of these test scores, which would be cool if you've done an ATA test. You could do organizations you're a part of, any personal details. So there's a lot that you can update, and they change this all the time. So I can already tell I need to come back and do some more updating. Posts is kind of a newer thing too, where you can come and actually do a blog post. Again, this is a great way, you don't really need another website. You can just come here and post things that are important. Here I was posting a job opening that I knew about. And again, you can post things and view stats about the post. Well, this one hasn't been viewed in the last 7 days, but that I posted it back in September. So again, it gives you that data that I was showing you on Google Analytics. It's cool how much you can get from LinkedIn, the power of having your own website without actually having to set up a whole website for yourself. Again, as your business grows, that's something you can do, but this is a great way to get started. Okay, so posting, you can put projects that you've been involved in, which I like a lot because especially as a freelancer, your job experience may not be, it may be old or it may not be as relevant as just some of the current projects you've done that are interesting to people. And I like how you can include people that you've worked with. And then you finally get into the experience, which is kind of a resume. But I really encourage you to get recommendations for your work. And the cool thing about recommendations, it's not hard to get recommendations, but here's the trick for doing it. Reach out to your network and say to people, I will write you a recommendation if you write me a recommendation on my LinkedIn profile. What this is called in marketing terms is social proof. And I just noticed my, okay, looks like it's still working. So you want to have social proof on your LinkedIn profile because that is going to attract, users to you. And once they see that, it's going to really up your credibility. So someone who is wanting to find like a Spanish translator, I mean, there's so many Spanish translators out there. So if you're a Spanish translator and you want to build your business, get some recommendations from clients that you work with. And again, if you can write one for them, they're more likely to write one for you. It's really amazing how that works. So I've got some social proof here, which is awesome. Some of my work experience, kind of show what I've done. And then I get to my volunteer section, which is really cool because as a linguist, it's really, again, it shows that human side to you. And I know a lot of people are concerned about, well, I want to stay really professional. But I think it's really important to show that you're a human being, that you're well-rounded, and that you may have some passions about something that someone else is interested in. It might be some content that really excites people. So don't be afraid to put things that you, where you volunteer or that you are involved in that may be outside of a work-related thing. Like, I'm an alto. I sing alto in lots of choirs. There I have. So I put that, and sometimes that might attract a client because they might go, "Oh my gosh, I'm a tenor, and I love singing," and so there's something we can connect on and start building a relationship on. So don't be afraid to be yourself on LinkedIn. People want to work with you, who you are. And I like that they give you this opportunity to put in, opportunities you're looking, where you would like to donate, what causes you care about. So there's so much you could say here. Definitely you want to put the language you speak, because again, when I come on LinkedIn, I search on language. So if your language isn't on there, you're not going to come up in my search. So that's got to be really clear to people, the languages that you speak. And look at all these endorsements. Now, endorsements aren't really, because they're so easy to give endorsements nowadays. But it's, again, another way to get some social proof about what you're doing. And what I like about endorsements, it's not as much for your external clients, because anyone can endorse you for anything. And sometimes I get endorsements from people I don't even know, and I'm like, how do they know I'm good at that? I don't know. But what I like is it gives me some data points about what people think about me. So about where people think I have expertise. And I am really excited when I look at this and I see quality assurance is number one, because I've spent much of my life working in quality assurance. And so, and quality happens to be quite a passion of mine. So it makes me feel good that that's how I'm perceived. And of course, localization is number two and management number three. So I'm thrilled that, something's working, that my message is coming across in terms of who I am and how I work and the kind of people I want to attract. So that's all outstanding. Okay. So then you can put your education. Again, this kind of works as a resume for people. Oh, and down here with additional information, you can put some interests, which again, it's really great to put your interests. But for me, you can see what I did here. I put some interests that actually are kind of related to my work in localization. So, it kind of is a big picture of giving people that picture that I want to work with them. I'm interested and passionate about working with them, on these kind of projects. And I really like this advice for contacting Stacy, which is come to our website, email, call me. Like, I'm always available. And I think that's really, again, great to be open. I really love it when people have that when I'm looking at their profile on LinkedIn. You could put some certifications that you have. I'm a whole person life coach. And again, here's a summary of some recommendations from people. And again, it's really easy to get recommended when you offer to recommend other people. So, as you get more and more active on LinkedIn, you'll see that grow. That's probably the number one thing, is getting that social proof. You can join a bunch of groups. Like I said, it's, I have a bunch of like, for my clients and localization groups, but probably, I could join more groups that are where my target clients, my ideal clients are hanging out. That's where you're going to get a lot of, and get not just join the group, but actually post in the group and become active and reply to comments and put in some interesting information. Some people I'm following, including Barbie. She's quite a lady, that Barbie. So anyway, that's my really long and almost an all-star profile. And I can even see as I'm going through this that I have some updating to do on it. I would ask for questions at this time, but I still think I am not getting too many people able to ask questions. So please participate in the comments below. Cool. So going back, let's get back here. So I talked about recommendations as I went through my profile and why it's important to get recommendation. And I'll let you read this funny comic by Dilbert. I mean, a Dilbert comic. But I think, recommendations are a serious thing online, and it's a great way to build your credibility. And so I'm always kind of thinking about ways that I can get recommendations that are sincere and real and, from my clients. So, yeah, if you have ideas on good ways to get recommendations from people, I would be happy to know. But then again, I'm also happy to recommend you if you recommend me. But again, there has to be some sincerity. I think there is that kind of. It's so important. You see a trend of people going and recommending themselves, but you have to be careful on that because one, you want to. It's not as powerful, and sometimes when somebody's really highly recommended, I'm thinking, was this written by an insider? So yeah, they have to be authentic recommendations, and I'm sure you all have people that you can contact for that. And we talked about recommendations versus endorsements. Endorsements is on LinkedIn where it comes up and says, do you endorse this person for project management skills? But those are not as powerful as a recommendation. So I encourage you to use those. Who do you connect with on LinkedIn? This is a good question. It's kind of like Facebook. I mean, I have over 500 connections on LinkedIn. Many of them I do not know. And some of that is because of the level of recruiting I do. Certainly, you do not need that many connections to find good clients. You want to have quality connections. So don't be afraid, though, to invite people to connect with you. Go out and invite people that, don't be afraid if they're the CEO of your ideal client. Stalk them. It's a great way to just get to know each other, just make that connection. It doesn't have to be more than that. And then, yeah, we could go over this, but I think we probably, because there's ways to search for people, join groups. There's a lot we could talk about there. So if you have questions on any of these things, let me know and we can get into that. But the most important thing when working on LinkedIn or any social media is to produce good content. And, I think there is this hesitancy with marketing. You feel a little, I don't know, like skeezy. And some of you may not know that word. So a better word would be, like a car salesman or something. Marketing, it sometimes doesn't feel authentic. And some of that is because it's hard for us as human beings to talk about our achievements. And so the best thing you can do is find your voice and be able to write and produce things that you're interested in, you love, and not worry as much about that ego, but just write things, research something that interests you, If you're interested in quality, write a blog about quality. If it's similar to someone else's, don't worry. I mean, put your own take on it. But the idea is just start putting content out there, and then you don't have to worry as much, and people will start seeing you as the expert in that particular field. So once you find that voice of where it's an interesting topic for you, you don't have to worry as much about feeling kind of weird marketing yourself. That's kind of what I do, because I can really identify that resonates with me, that it feels hard to promote myself. But I've learned that it doesn't really, it's about just contributing something to the world. And that's where producing good content fits in. Um, so just, be positive, patient, and persistent. That's good advice for all of us. Um, LinkedIn actually has some free webinars that are available, which that's where I got a lot of this information about LinkedIn. So I really recommend, again, if LinkedIn is going to be your kind of website, your platform where you want to, pull people to for their call to action, I really recommend going, getting more familiar and doing some of their webinars. And yeah, just making sure it's really clear what you do and what you want your clients to do. So that's pretty much it. I apologize for getting started so late, but I don't want to keep you all day. But if you're not on our mailing list, I ask you to go to our website right now and sign up on our mailing list. It's right there's a form right there on the front page. Also, I've noticed as I've been talking that I've been getting LinkedIn connections, which I'm thrilled about. So link with me on LinkedIn, and let's build this together and use this free tool as effectively as possible. I think I mentioned in my email, I've given this presentation before, and one of the participants told me afterwards that she went home and updated her profile, and the next day after she had done that, she got contacted for a project. So it really works. Get yourself out there, and if you do have trouble getting started with your content, or being able to just be really clear, get in touch with me. Let's talk. Let's do a coaching session through that, because half of the battle is just really knowing where your clients are and knowing what you want to tell your clients. And once you have that in place, you're going to start seeing those projects come through, and not just projects, but projects that you love working on. That's really the goal here. So anyway, I appreciate your time today, and I hope that you have a very profitable week, and I will see you either on the website or on LinkedIn, and I look forward to working more with you. Thanks, everybody, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I apologize again about the technical difficulties. I will definitely get that resolved for next time so we don't go through that again. So thanks again, and have a wonderful week. See you next time.